Anthony, let's get a final thought before you give us a final thought before you go. Just to throw something in, just to give Beata a chance to to get the conversation going. Just give us something, a last thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, what we didn't know about Rufus when we borrowed him was his love of football. But what is incredible, I've never seen anything like it. He took a little tennis ball and he put a bone, like a rubber bone, in his mouth so that he wouldn't then use his mouth to play football. And he plays football with all his legs. He'll knock this ball around. It's like completely autonomous. I do have a video of this. And because we're in like making films, we're into that. I want to attach a camera onto him whilst he's playing, like from the front, so that we can really get his eye view. But it's so.
He has a conscience. Is he thinking?
I think he does. He's a very smart fellow. And even when we watched the World Cup last year, he was leant over the bed, literally watching the matches. I don't know, but he's very skilled. I mean, if it was just like knocking a ball, but he actually passes the ball back. He does. He passes it from foot to foot. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he should be on TV, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who's that? Yeah, exactly. I'll just get a drink.
Yeah. Does anyone else of you have pets with skills or pets without skills? Oh, yeah. But we.
Look at these birds. A bird with these sort of skills. So this is, I love bird spotting, but I always remember this time that I was at my mum's house looking out the window and it had snowed everywhere. And there were these two magpies on the roof of the house opposite, which was covered in snow. And the first time I saw them do it, I thought, I'm just imagining it, but then they kept doing it. They were tobogganing on their bums down the slope, so they kept flying up to the top of the the ridge of the roof, and then jumping their legs up, sliding on their bums down to the gutter, fluttering, flying up again, just endlessly sliding, like getting pleasure out of it. It was really...
So do they think like us? That's what I think. Do animals have a conscience? Or... Well...
Do they?
Yes.
Any other opinions? The same conscience.
I actually think that dolphins are cleverer than us. Having met some dolphins, they're cleverer. But however, they don't have the language skills or the technology to have a civilization. But they're actually not only are they have got conscious, they learn faster than human beings.
Okay.
I think isn't it a Douglas Adams thing that says that the fact that dolphins could make a civilization but choose not to shows that they're more intelligent.
It was dolphins and mice. Yeah. But mice were kind of a tendril from some other greater.
Of the Earth computer. According to the Douglas Adams story, they were technicians of the Earth computer.
I was talking about Douglas Adams, who I don't know whether everyone knows or not, but he's a science fiction writer, but quite a funny one. And there's one concept in one of his books where they have this planet decides that they've got like a third of their population are just completely useless. So they have all the people who like think, and the politicians, or maybe the like engineers, or like the people who kind of think big abstract plans. And then they have all the people who actually do things, so like grow food and make things. And then they have all the people in the middle. And the plan of this planet is that they ship all the like estate agents, like management consultants, telephone hand sanitizers. And I sometimes in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. just worry that I am a B-arc person. So they put them all on arcs. They tell them they're going to put on the ship and that they're all separated and they're all going to go to this new world, but they don't. They just put all the people on that they think are a bit useless onto a ship and just send it into a star. But then I just always worry that I'm a B-arc person.
Okay.
That'd be one way to control the population, wouldn't it? To come back to what we were talking about before.
This sounds like a rather accurate picture of the society in which we live, really, isn't it?
Okay.
A good film called Idiocracy. Has anyone ever seen that?
Oh, it's my favourite film.
It actually percepts what life is. Mm-hmm. It's like everyone on the planets are idiots, and it's like the lunatics took over the asylum. The film, you just got to watch it.
The premise behind the film is that essentially the intelligent people have decided that they will delay having children. They won't have children immediately, you know. But the morons of the world just have children, lots and lots of children. Trailer trash are having kids everywhere, and ultimately the entire globe is populated. Oh, this is America, admittedly. America is populated by morons, and this is 500 something years in the future, and what happens is there's a military experiment where they take a very average guy, incredibly the middle of the road, middle intelligence, middle everything, and he doesn't have any family, and they ask him, they tell him he's got to get into this pod, and he's going to go to sleep for 9 months, and he'll wake up and so on. And then they have another. They want a female as well. They didn't have one, so they contracted with a pimp to provide a prostitute to go into this pod. Well, it is. I mean, this was written a while ago, but anyway, so she's kind of an average person too, nothing particularly intelligent, or you know, not what you would normally classify as somebody in the brightest population. But anyway, they go to sleep, they forget about them, the world's forgotten about them. This was a bit of a seedy project in a way, and 500 years later there's a mountain of rubbish, their pods at the top of it, there's like a avalanche of this rubbish. The pods come down, they open up, and they're, you know, suddenly awake.
Okay.
And the place is just full of idiots. They've got loads of technology, but they don't know how to use it.
Who was making it?
And they don't know how to feed the world, because they think water is something not particularly useful. This is where the consumerism comes in.
Yeah.
So they've got this Gatorade stuff that they drink all the time. I don't know what they call it, because it's got electrolytes.
Yeah.
So they and they water their plants with this stuff. And it's just it's something definite. It's so worth watching. And when you watch it and you don't think of America today, in fact, I defy you not to think of America today.
But Britain's going like that and all.
Well, I think the whole world is turning into this movie.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a bit about.
I just want to know: does it make for comfortable watching, or do you think it's like you feel like it's been made like a bunch of elite people who are like, oh, it is funny. It doesn't make you feel like you're kind of sneering at people.
There's a nice bit at the end.
Okay.
So, but I just want to say, I don't really think that people are generally idiots. I think most people have got some kind of intelligence. They might not be academically intelligent, but most people that I know are quite clever. I think this is just people that have got A levels or whatever the American equivalent is, kind of looking down on those people that haven't. I personally think, because I think people are actually more clever than you give them credit for, and that's all people.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like, I work in community work, so I just work with in the end thousands of people over the course of my life in London, and it just reinforces my belief every day that the average person is really clever and really curious, and it gets beaten out of you by the way education treats you, and then.
But essentially, that's the premise of this movie. It's reality TV. It's you are turned into this idiot. You know, these people have potential. It's just.
It sounds to me like
they don't need it. Society's changed.
It's more about
don't need to.
forgetting things.
Much more important to watch. You know, what was it? Those monster trucks and.
See, it's like Plato's Cave. If anyone ever read into that, where you can be kept as a prisoner for many years, and all you've got is just the shadows from the torches on the wall.
Yeah.
And then, but for many years of being in this cave, you got other companions who are in the same cave as you, but they don't know the outside of this world, because they don't know it exists. And then all of a sudden they're released from this cave and everything hits them. And all they've ever known to believe is what's around them, and all of a sudden it's come into the big wide world and quite shocked. So we're starting to become the Plato's cave. We're just shackled up in the cave, ready to be unleashed. And
so who's gonna unleash us?
Well, I think the point about from what I get about Plato's cave is if you do get unleashed, you're not actually free because you're not open-minded enough to actually explore the possibilities that your idea of reality might not be the full reality. So even if you get released from the cave, you can't really perceive other options that might be out there because you're just used to seeing shadows on the wall.
Yeah. Okay. Your opinions on that?
But I think it's all about challenging your mindset, really. You know, I think that's what it's all about. I mean, even if you were to look at it from, you know, the young people's perspective nowadays on, you know, life situations, you know, trying to acquire more finer things in life, whatever that could be, or trying to unlock your full potential. I think sometimes it all starts in the mind. Or you need to work on your mind sometimes, because a lot of people think things are not possible or it's difficult to have certain things in life. But sometimes it's about just putting yourself out there, hoping for the best, expecting the worst, knowing that you deserve more, and actually just trying. You know, in the word of Nike, what is it? Just do it.
Yeah, just do it.
I do think quite often people's biggest barriers are in their mind. I'm not saying that's the only thing, because also it's about people's expectations of who you are and what you can achieve. It goes back to what we were saying earlier on about, you know, qualifications and what qualifications you've got, or how people value you as a person. But I think quite often people restrict themselves because of their own identity, and actually the main person that's stopping them from living their dreams is themselves.
Yeah.
So there is a young man at the moment that everyone's talking about in East London called Reggie. I think his last name is Nelson, Reggie Nelson. So what really changed for Reggie Nelson's this dark-skinned guy, by the way, that lives in North Woolwich or something like that. So what it is was a few years ago, he went door knocking. He went to the most expensive area in London, knocked on a few doors, to find out if anyone might give him some tips on how he could actually improve his quality of life and be a better person. Of course, a few people ignored him, as you do. And until eventually knocked on one door, a lady opened the door and said, "Come in." Even he was shocked. So eventually, anyway, he went in and then she sat him down, called a partner downstairs to have a chat with Reggie. And then somehow he works for like a finance company or something like that. Give him some tips, and he was really grateful for that. Mentioned something about an internship going on, and everything just changed for him. Now, Reggie's changed so much that now he had like a chat with like the PM, which was recorded and actually you know, kind of out there somewhere on YouTube. You can find it. And also, he recently did a TED talk because he has something to talk about. I think a lot of us are scared to, you know, I think sometimes we're actually scared of, what is it they say, it's not, what's that thing called, hold on a second, some of us are scared of our actually greatness, our purpose in life. And I think sometimes it's okay to be scared, but sometimes you just gotta do it while you're scared.
Okay.
I agree that people should be more courageous, but I disagree about one thing, because you were saying that Reggie was knocking on the doors of the rich people in what part of the country? Okay, so I don't agree that everybody who lives in that area. Do you think that everyone who lives in that area just got there because they were very courageous and they were believing in their dreams? I don't think so.
Some people were probably born into it, but I think for him it wasn't about that. I think sometimes we'll focus so much about how people get to what people have rather than how they get there. Everyone gets to their destination different ways. Some people it's handed to them, some people have to work for where they are. I think for him personally it was all about, I am frustrated about my situation and I want to do something to be in a better place. I think that was his mindset. He didn't care who he was going to talk to, he just wanted someone to give him an opportunity to actually change his life, and that's what he got from it.
Yeah.
We take this Talkaoke table around, and quite often we go to different schools. And when we go to the private schools, you find that education is quite almost the same, but the expectation for the kids is very different, and they expect the kids to be leaders. And then when you go to the state schools, it's all about discipline. It's about putting you in your place, and I think that has a huge effect on people. But it's just an illusion. It's a very hard illusion to break out of, and just to say, you know what? I'm just going to go and do my thing, and I'm just going to be.
Not an illusion, though. I mean, like access to money, property, like exceptional people can manage to find their way through. But I think it's really dangerous to say that any of us, if we simply put our minds to it, could succeed, because there are so many actual, like, proper structural barriers, and then some people are born without those barriers or with access to money and can choose what they want to do, and others can't.
I'm not.
Wait a second. We have a new guest. Hi. What's your name?
Olivier.
Olivier, hi. This is Talkaoke. We are talking about everything you want to or like, or you can just listen if you want. But occasionally I will look at you, and if you want to say something, then give me a sign. And we're doing a round of names, so everybody knows everybody's name.
My name is Eduardo.
What? Daphne.
Evie.
Hi, Evie.
Mikey.
Danny.
Akbel.
Daisy, I'm actually going to leave because I've got to go before it gets dark.
Okay, have you any last thoughts you want to share?
No, but it's like the walk back to the bus stop is so freaky, and I've got to get back to Bethnal Green. Final thought.
Final thought, yeah. Not last.
Oh, really?
309 direct, yeah. All night.
Where can I get the 309 from? I'm going to go to because I've got to. I'm working tonight. I've got to go back and carry on working. But it's been really nice. I'm not. I'm from West London. That's my parting thing. Yeah. But this is so great. It's just really interesting. I've not done it before.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, you're very brave to get in the middle then.
That one there, just outside the community centre there.
So now we're talking about buses.
And that will take you straight.
No, it's fine.
That will take you to York. That will take you to York Hall. If that's any good to you, or Bethnal Green Underground Station, which is the one before. And don't trust City Mapper. Yeah.
So we're
Okay.
just down here.
It's just there, just I'll come every 5 minutes.
So, would you please say your name again?
Eduardo too. Two Eduardos, very good.
Yeah, okay. Great. Yeah.
Oh gosh, now I can't remember what I was going to say. She was saying about. Oh right. So, in terms of equality of opportunity and things like this, I look at immigrant families and they behave differently and tend, on the whole, at least second generation, tend to do better on, than the indigenous population or the population that's been here for a very long time. And so I'm not convinced that there isn't a potential for at least succeeding financially, maybe not in any other way, but certainly financially, if you're starting off from nothing.
Okay.
And it may well be that it's about, those people that are coming into a country that they don't know have a certain degree of fearlessness or bravery or whatever it is, but there's it seems that seems to provide for some element of success, however you classify that success.
Yeah. Okay. So, any opinions on that? Yeah.
See, as I said, was done with immigrant families. There's always the first generation that fights for the survival of to set the groundwork, the building stone, and then the second generation comes in, keeps up the groundwork, what their parents have built on, and then when it gets to the third, that's when the quality eases off, because they're so well relaxed now, weaved into the framework. They're like, oh, I don't care. F what my grandparents did, I don't care. I'm doing what I'm doing, because it's all given to them on a plate. Yeah, it is given to them on a plate.
They have a much easier life.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at my kids and they'll be third generation. And, well, my eldest is very kind of ambitious. The younger one isn't so much. But, you know, I think that there's...
Hello. Bye.
You know, because their lives have been a lot easier than mine, and certainly much easier than my parents. You know, it isn't. They don't need as much to be in a fairly comfortable position. You know, they'll both be going. Hopefully, both be going to university, but certainly the older one will, and. He's going to come out of university in a much better position than an awful lot of students do right now. Yeah. There won't be any debt. You know, they're going to become very comfortably positioned. So that gives them a bit of a head start. Yeah. You know, I think in comparison to a lot of other students who may well be worrying about their debt and paying it off and so on.
So, yeah.
I think the head start is especially. I mean, that's exactly what I was talking about. Some people get a head start, and other people don't get a head start. And
they didn't have that head start, but what they've done is to work very hard, and for me, and then me for my kids, and so on. And I think that attitude is pervasive in a family. And it tends to just follow from one generation to the next to some degree, and I think it eventually will disappear, but I think I'm not seeing it quite disappearing right now, but I think it will.
It's also a way of fighting racism as well, and the key to fighting racism is education. Long because what is it like? Well, everyone, Asian, black, white, whatever. Everyone is used to their own community and puts a barrier up, but once you break down these barriers, it's like myself. I've lived here on this estate all my life, so yeah, I've seen all sorts of people come and go, and I can speak many languages, from Bengali, Italian, German, Spanish, Chinese, and Japanese, but bits and pieces. But I'm fluent, even though I'm white Irish, my fluent language is Bengali, because I've broken down the barriers and learned. Well, I've taught myself because you can get the caveman image. Oh no, don't mix with them, mix with us. You can't. You're not gonna educate yourself. You're not gonna learn from doing that. But you break down the barriers, and then you start opening up to new things, and that's when you start earning more money or becoming a success. So, yeah. So, key to that success is educate yourself.
Yeah. Okay, you want?
Go on then.
Yeah.
How do I start this? So obviously my dad's been in the UK for over 40 years, and in the way he sees life is you work for someone else. And a few years ago my sister decided to start her own recruitment agency. And when she approached him to make him aware of this, the first thing he said is, why? Why would you want to quit your job? Why do you want to go backpacking? Like, who does that? What's that? Like, what's that about? And she said, well, I need a break to kind of reflect on my life, you know, the direction I'm currently going, to kind of, you know, seek purpose. He was like, what? Do you think before I brought you here from Nigeria, I was seeking purpose? Child, you better get back to that workplace and tell them, you know, you're sorry you didn't mean to quit the job. And she was like, no, Dad, I'm actually doing this. And for the first year, he just could not understand it. It was like, well, I've worked so hard to bring you guys to this country, and now you're doing this, now you're doing that. But in 2 years into it, business started booming, and he just changed his mind. He was like, you know what, if anything, Tiffany, you've now inspired me. I really should have started my own business many years ago, but I was so busy raising you guys, I didn't have time to do a business. So technically, because of you guys, I couldn't do what I've always wanted to do, and now I'm in my 60s, it's a bit too late for me. And he's like, but I might actually do something because you've inspired me to want to do something amazing now. So I think what it is the struggle is still there, it's just different. So for a lot of them, it's, you know, getting a job, fitting into a community that they might not understand. For us young people now, it's totally different. It's about not just having a normal job in 9 to 5, it's about having something you can easily travel with, see the world, do amazing things, acquire some finer things in life. Struggle is still the same, it's just a different battle.
Okay.
Your sister had to will leave to go and find her struggle to build her empire. So your parents had their struggles, so she didn't have this struggle, so she went and made her own struggle to get on in life and succeed. See?
The struggle was different. So, like for example, the dad's struggle was I gotta feed my kids and I gotta pay rent because I'm a lone parent. Her struggle is, this is not my life. I am not going to work for someone 9 to 5 and, you know, be 60 and live like my dad and still be struggling to pay my mortgage. Hell no. I'm going to do something today. What is it? My favorite quote is, you've got to be willing to do what others won't do in order to have the things others won't have. So if you think you're going to work 9 to 5, you're going to acquire a few BAs and, you know, masters, child, forget it. Those things don't take you far anymore because you end up investing so much time in companies that don't, quite frankly, give a damn about you. You know, when you know, as someone said to me the other day at work, oh Daphne, could you please work as if a car was to hit you, you know, the next person would just pick up your workload. I was like, what? I was like, repeat that? Because I didn't like that at all.
Okay.
I was like, excuse me, my life matters, please don't address me like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if in the future people won't have jobs anymore and everyone's going to be self-employed. I mean, I know there's a few self-employed people around the table here, some that have got jobs. But in a way, you've got this sense of freedom when you work for yourself, and it's a different approach to life, I think.
Yeah.
It might be a sense of freedom, but it's also a lack of security, of regular money coming in and health insurance and all of that.
Are you
But
self-employed?
it grounds you, I think, at the same time, where the lack of security make you chill out, where you cannot freak out. That's the idea, because if you do, you're in big trouble. So you have to learn about yourself, which is great. As a self-employed and as a person, I think it's very, very good. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, earlier on, credit cards got a bit of a roasting, but as a self-employed person, credit cards are very fucking useful. Because as long as you know you're going to pay them back, then you get that sense that, I mean, I used to be very anxious about my financial situation, and it hasn't really changed, except I've become more used to it. So I'm used to just this indeterminacy, this lack of really knowing what's going to happen. But I know that I'll always work it out one way or another, either on the credit card or doing this or doing that. It's always going to work. So it's as you say, it's about losing the anxiety.
Can I just add to that?
What? Sorry, I missed that.
For example, if we were to talk money, so growing up, my dad's always has this saying, which is, you don't spend what you don't have. So because of that, I never even took out a credit card until I approached the bank and I was like, oh, so if I was to get a loan, they were like, no, you can't get a loan. I was like, what do you mean? They were like, oh, well, you don't actually have any history to kind of show us your spending. I was like, yes, I do, my debit card. They were like, no, you don't. You actually need to take out a few, direct debits or get a credit card. And then at the age of 26, trying to get my first credit card because no one told me all these things. So I think, it kind of adds back to the struggles of, the individuals who've been before us, the parents who had to learn things the hard way, and us actually learning from them when their ways, no disrespect, it's kind of a little bit old now. We kind of need to fresh things up. And, for example, we're always told to save. Never once have my dad ever said invest. Like, what's up with that?
Correct. Well, you're your dad's investment.
No, yeah, but I need more than that, because I got to inherit something, you know what I'm saying?
So we are talking about I don't know. So concentrating.
Money talk.
Yeah, money and learning from your parents or not, and learning things new, living. What are you doing? Is it important what you do for a living, or is it just what you do for a living?
Do you know, can I just add to that? Lately, I've been meeting a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm just here adulting. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah. Like, they have a 9 to 5 job and they actually open up and say, I don't like this job, I'm just here to pay rent. Yeah. And it's actually becoming a norm.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think of that?
Oh, I think it's quite a common term, but some people quite like just having the security, and they can if you're in a big organisation, you can kind of slack off. Or I'd like to work 4 days a week. I'd like to have more time to grow food or mend things.
Okay.
Hello. Oh, we got some
yeah. Why do you need your job to make you happy? Don't you have other things to make you happy?
I enjoy my job, so I can't really speak for those people because I don't understand it. But I think if you're going to, we spend so much time at work that if you're going to be spending 40 hours of your life a week, chances are you're going to be doing a lot more than that. We will take work home. You've got to have you've got to enjoy a little bit. You've got to like it, no?
If you love your job, you never work a day in your life.
What?
Last time I had a job was 1984,
Yes, before I was born.
and I was actually quite young then. I was working for myself, and I think that gives you a kind of a sort of discipline and making things work. You know, it's interesting. Yeah. So you're not reliant on one source of income. You have to go and get it from other places, and I think that's actually good because you can never relax, of course. But
is it good to never relax?
I think a lot of my friends are starting to, about talking about never relaxing. Like they'll have 9 to 5 jobs, and then they'll have something on the side, or they'll be like delivery bike drivers or something. And I think increasingly, like, people would be like, oh, I like sewing, or like I like wood carving, and they're like, oh, well, you should sell them then. And like there's quite like a lot of pressure to like monetize your hobby, and like why are you not? And I think and then some people are like, you should, and but then you have no reproductive time. And a lot of my friends just have normal jobs. They still work on the weekend because they feel they should.
Yeah. I think that's the whole thing about this new sharing economy, is that you're gonna monetize even your home. I mean, Airbnb makes you monetize your home. Instead of I remember that we used to give our places to friends of friends of friends for free. You know, to stay in my place. Yeah, why would we? Because then at some point I could go to their place. You know, or maybe not. Actually, you know, maybe through a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, I would go to some other place. So.
yeah, what's happened to sharing on trust? You know, where you get people to come into your life, and you get a dual thing where you get things from them and they get things from you. It's completely out of the tax system, which I really love. But where's that gone? You know, everything has got monetized without a doubt. You know, it has a price. You know, life now has a price. Your motivation, your movement has a price. I find that quite sad, really.
Yeah, earlier we were talking about libraries and places where you can lend art. In German it's called Artothek. So there's a word for it. And we actually have it. So this is kind of the idea you mentioned, I guess. So it's more like a system, not like sharing people sharing. Are you sharing with your neighbors, or lending an egg or something?
I don't have a lending. I mean, where I live, people, they've got vastly different diets to me anyway. Like, you know, most people on my estate just don't eat the same kind of hummus and chickpeas and lentils that I eat. But we do lend other things, like, you know, like a lawnmower or something like that, or power tools. It tends to be more the thing rather than cooking ingredients.
Anybody else sharing anything, despite opinions?
I participate in this project that it's a solidary, how do you say this, agricultural kind of club. So you sign up for it. So I signed up for it, and I pay a monthly amount, and I get an amount of vegetables that are grown around where I live. I live in Berlin. So, but I never know how much I'll get and what I'll actually get. So every week I get some vegetables that are in season in that time, and it's always the amount they distribute the whole amount of the vegetables that they can how do you say, harvest, thank you, and then they distribute it into the number of people who are participating. So I don't actually know how much I get. And last year, because of the dry weather and you know, climate change is not a reality, but it is, so there was a very bad harvest and we didn't get much food. So it's a bit difficult, but I still like it because the food is, the vegetables are the freshest, and it's much better than any supermarket food.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know that? John, you wanted to say something? No.
Speechless for the time being.
Speechless for the time being. Thanks.
I share my time with people.
Yeah.
So if anyone knocks and wants a hand or anything, I'm always willing. So yeah, I mean,
East London thing, because I live in Dagenham, and this is Dagenham, by the beach, it's beautiful. And then that's what you land people, your time. And then it's an older area, so people can not do things, and then they can see you very able, and then you offer your services to the people, and then you get bottle of wines in return, some food, whatever. You go and do the fences, which I think is fantastic, you know. And then it's not everywhere that you get that. The more you come into central London, the less you get it. Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
They always help. Well, I don't know. It's yeah. Well, we're known around here, but no. If anyone knocks down, can you help me here? Or no matter what time of the day it is, I've always willing to help. So it's in our blood.
Yeah.
You're giving me signs too.
No, I'm just saying you're okay in the middle there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, do you know?
You want to jump in?
No, not particularly. I'm just, I'm enjoying the conversation from the outside. But I don't know if you know, Beata, about the Cockney. Do you know about Cockney culture?
I know there's a Cockney English.
A Cockney rhyming slang. Yeah.
Which I probably not understand, but yeah. Okay. So you speak Cockney, innit?
Totally.
Lady Gafiver, have 2 ears, beers. Yeah.
Okay.
Cheese and ham, farm.
Hank Marvin.
Dog on bone, starving. Yeah. But see, real Cockney don't really talk like that. And it's just a Rosie Lee tea. But no, we just have different words for things, and well, it's quite hard because where I work is quite a multicultural workplace, like Eastern Europeans, English, but even higher degrees of Englishmen don't understand the Cockney because we've got I don't know, he's like a retired university professor, Alan, like who we got working, and when we all speak in the office, and he speaks plain English, well, the Queen's English, like spoken, and when we're speaking, or when the manager speaks to him, he has to get a translator to ask what the manager's saying. But he's London born and bred, but he's just not part of us. So, but he's part of us, but he's just not. So it's quite.
Is there tension? Is there tension when that happens?
Well, we don't. He gets frustrated and then he goes and reads a book. So, yeah.
I kind of find it very strange that when people are speaking English, my girlfriend's German, and she and she does not understand the Glaswegian accent particularly. But then I can't figure out how you can't understand it. It's so easy. You know, it's very much like the East London Cockney accent. It's not that desperately different. Even Newcastle and so on. I mean, there's a thing. I can't figure out how the hell can you not understand what this person's saying? It just is normal. I mean, there's the odd word, but I just think it's just English.
See, I can have a good
it's very strange. I just can't
Scottish accent. I can put a good Scottish accent on. I don't even have no Scottish in the well, my heart belongs to Glasgow, dear old Glasgow.
No singing. Stop.
I go out on a Friday night. See you, Jimmy. I've 2 of them there. Hi, there's you. Carol.
Hi. Come over. We're talking. Not right now. Yeah, of course.
Okay, so how do you introduce a new rhyming slang? Because I was quite interested in maybe saying that Ronnie and Reggie could be rhyming slang for veggie, as in the craze. But nobody's really taken up on that, But I'm from Newcastle, okay? So
okay.
we have a word in our dialect called gadgie. Any idea what that means? Anybody? Gadgie.
No. Gadget.
Oh, I think someone knows.
Not a. you think so?
Do you know?
I think I told them earlier. So the word gaji came through from northern India through the Romanian sort of gypsies, and it means somebody who is recognised but not necessarily identified. So you would say that, oh, there's a gaji over there. So you wouldn't know his name, but you would know that he was maybe sort of from another estate or something, you know? Gaji. I love that word.
Gaji or gajo?
Catchy.
Gaji.
I don't know much about gadgets, but I have been working on the rhyming slang as well. I've been working on a Polish Cockney rhyming slang. So I've got, and this has spread a little bit amongst my Polish colleagues. So it's like pie and mash, yaksha mash, which yaksha mash means how are you, and you say pint of cobra, dobra. Dobra means good. Yeah, so dobra means good. Yeah. So, and there's a whole number of words that we've developed with the Polish Cockney rhyme. And from doing that, I sort of believe that the Cockney rhyming slang was all about immigrants coming to London and trying to learn English. And I think it's easier to learn it if it rhymes.
Yeah, that's.
Then that should be called Pockney.
I like it, Pockney. Yeah. No, I was going to say I'm already too old to like talk about this, but I think the like internet slang and all that kind of stuff. Like at the moment, if you like I stan something, you really love it, and it's like it comes from an Eminem song about a guy who gets so obsessed with you stan exactly. So that's like there's loads of internet language which I think just like comes through, and I would like to know more like weird flex, but okay, like all those kind of things that like it's like it's a bit weird, but you know it's all right. I'm down with it. But I'm really interested in it, but I'm not cool enough to know it. So.
Do you know internet slang?
I don't know. I stand something, but anyway, I was in a relationship recently, but sadly, but I was going out with someone that was a little bit older than me, and she just didn't get emojis. Like she was like, I was like throwing all these emojis out, and she was like, what the fuck is that? Why are you? I'm not a Japanese teenager. Why can't you just say it in words? But for me, it's like I don't know. I'm fairly old, but I'm sort of into the emoji element culture.
Yes,
I really love it when my parents send me emojis, especially my dad. He sent me a message the other day, and then 3 hearts. And I'm like, oh, it's so cute.
Do you know what's up with people put like kisses after every single text message? Like, please explain.
I have been emailed by 2 people from the same company who, like, in my company of work and their company communicated with me, and they all put X's at the end of their emails.
See, we've lost grammar. We've lost. It's everyone. Everyone is being too emotional. That's what it is. They're trying to express their way. See, this is it. This is life. You've got your work life, and then you've got your personal life. Now you're crossing your personal life with your work life, and then when you're sending a work email, you're putting kisses and winks and stuff, which is.
Well, you do that?
No, because I don't know. I've never been brought up with it. Well, I have, but it's never attached me, because you've got your grammar, and then you've got your lapsed grammar. So your professionalism, and then your least professional. Even today with the language, how people speak. See, the Cockney culture is dying out. It really is. And with the youth now, it's coming in, and you're getting a Jamaican accent in. And half of these youth have never been Jamaica. And you're like, walk one fam now, how me doing and sing. And half of the youth, and London has lost its accent. Because people don't know what, and they've always speak. The youth of today have got a depression in their voice. Yeah, we're not going to go do that though, innit?
Okay. So, okay. Can you hold your thought for a second? Because we have a new face on the table, and I would like to introduce you to the rest. What's your name, please?
Naz.
Hi, Naz.
Cheers, Naz.
Akbel?
Akbel, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard your names a few times now. Sorry. Danny, right.
Mikey.
Evie.
Thank you.
Daphne.
Olivier.
Thanks again.
Bina.
Loretta.
And John.
And John, welcome. Thank you very much. My name is Birte. I haven't introduced you. And I was asking you to hold your thought, and now it's...
Well, I just think this thing, I disagree with you, Danny. I think there's nothing wrong with having a bit of emotion at work and having some emojis spread the emotion. You know, we're emotional people, we're emotional beings, so why not put in a heart or put in I always put in a bear and people were like, what's that bear? And I'm like, it's a hug. So a bear is a hug. And, you know, but why not? Because, or a little dance. It is. We are emotional people, so we should communicate in this way. And language evolves. So the Cockney has evolved into the patois.
The kiss at the end of texts is odd. I mean, well, to be honest, Mike does that. You do that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
So, yeah, and so he sent me the odd text with a kiss at the end of it, and I kind of feel a bit uncomfortable. But then again, I also feel a bit uncomfortable with the whole kissing goodbye thing. Yeah, I find it very odd. Yeah, well, maybe I'd feel better if it was non-gender specific. Yeah, oh, absolutely. You know, I understand that. But in the UK, it's very a girl thing. And, oh, well, maybe it's not because... I've not had that many men that have wanted to kiss me.
They give us a kiss as French people. And then to me, the first time I'm thinking, fucking English guys give me a kiss as a hello and as a bye-bye. You find it weird. But then that's it. It becomes their culture as well, because they think, what's wrong with it? This is your best friends, you know, so...
I can understand it if it was that, but as I say, it's one of these things that makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. But this whole thing about the kiss at the end, I remember once I was on the phone to an estate agent, and I can't remember what it was. He was managing a property or something that I had, and my girlfriend was there, and in the room with me, and I said, I don't know what it was, and at the end of the conversation, I said, "Love you," and put the phone down. And I don't know why. And my girlfriend.
You were getting a good deal. You were getting a good deal.
So, you wanted to say something about...
Oh, no, you first.
Yeah.
You wanted to say...
You wanted to say something about kissing.
No, I think it was
I think it was interesting you say adulting. I was like, that's when I feel like very grown up, when I'm like kissing someone goodbye rather than hugging them. Like, it's definitely like when you're with people and you're like, oh, we're kissing on the cheek, we're very grown up now.
Okay.
So I think it's maybe like an age or a formality thing. But then I went and hung out with a load of French people a couple of weekends ago, and I felt very glamorous. Yeah.
I mean, I tend to just do it based on feelings. So I sort of go in, and it could be a hug, it could be a handshake, it could be a kiss, and I'm just read the other person. So in England, you kiss the girls, but you don't kiss the guys, not because you don't want to, but because they don't want to be kissed. So whereas in France, it doesn't matter as much, I don't think, or in other countries, like in the Arab world, all the men kiss each other, and then you have these very kind of weak handshakes with the women.
I was going to say, when I went to Southeast Asia, one thing that surprised me was how men interacted with each other, and how they would literally sit almost on each other's knee, holding hands, being affectionate. And I thought, yeah, why the hell not? It's just, unfortunately, in this culture that we live in here, it's this idea of you have to be macho and you can't be seen to be gay or whatever.
Yeah. So, okay.
Gary's back.
Gary's back.
Well, yeah.
Hi, Gary.
What am I going to say?
We were talking about saying hello and goodbye with kisses.
Well, I would like to ask, what is the most fabulous missed opportunity in your life where you could have been in love with somebody and you've lost that? You know, that's profound, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Well, I've got so many I can't even start. You know, but what is the most profound missed opportunity you have in your life?
Wow. So sad. I don't want to say that.
Yeah, I can't. I just can't.
That's what we call FOMO, fear of missing out. I think it's not about the opportunities you've missed, it's about the opportunities you've grasped.
Oh, you're so political.
Because, you can... everything is an opportunity that you've missed potentially, but you know, it's also what you did do. You know, it's like this could be an opportunity for these people to come and sit down on a table. Maybe not. Yeah, that's another missed opportunity. But you know, it's like. Yeah, I mean, for sure you can look at your life as a series of missed opportunities, but you also can see it as a series of opportunities, especially someone that's been self-employed since 1984. That's a series of opportunities.
Yeah.
This is about a poetic sort of loss, you know. It's almost like one didn't make the right move, or they didn't, you know. And then do you have to live with that, or, you know?
Yeah, you do, but
yeah. What could have been? What could have not been?
Can I just add to that? You know, I'm one who never focuses on that. I just think about the positives and I look forward to the future because I genuinely believe the best is yet to come. I don't care about the past.
I care about the past too much. I live in the past too much.
Okay.
That's a regret of mine.
Paths you've chosen, you know. Yeah. This is about the paths you've chosen in your life, you know, what could have been, what could have been. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing. It's just like, what is the most missed opportunity in your life? I would like to ask people that. What do you really regret?
Does somebody regret anything? Yeah, you got something?
I was offered a Netflix contract and I turned that down.
For the record, I regret nothing. I'm just thinking about possibilities, okay?
Okay. So,
I met this guy once who was like this expert on this cryptocurrency, and he had this laptop and he was making bitcoins like you know, they were less than $1 each. And it's like, you should really get into this because like you just make money on your laptop. Look, I've made like $5 today because I've made 5 bitcoins. And this was in like 2013, and the Bitcoin peaked at $20,000 or something, £20,000 even per Bitcoin. And you know, he was just making them for fun on his laptop on those days. So that, I guess, you could look at that regretfully. For me, I just look at it and laugh, and I'm happy, so it's not so much a thing for me. And talking about opportunities taken, I would like to ask if anyone would like to take the opportunity to have a go in the middle of this table. No? But
just have to sit here and pass around the microphone.
Yeah. But anyway, maybe it's me that's got to grasp the opportunity again. But I think, Beate, you've done a fantastic job, and let's give a round of applause. I'm going to take up the threads. Maybe some of the people, some of the side conversations going on there will become. But well done, Beate. A good sit in the middle. I'm gonna try. Yeah, have a seat over there, and I've got to now keep stum and not talk about I guess I've had enough of a rant.
So it was you.
I mean, one of the good things about being in the middle and opportunities taken is you can always just grab other people's chips. Oh, fish. I'm vegetarian, but that's not in it, so. Not anymore. Okay, so that's quite nice. No, it's a squid. Anyway, let's get some names. My name's Mikey. What's your name?
Naz.
And what's your name?
Acted very badly. And I said,
Stop chatting up the ladies and tell us your name.
Hello, John.
John and
Loretta.
And
Robert.
And
Eduardo.
What?
Eduardo.
Robert and Eduardo. Okay, and
Daphne.
And
Bina. Beate.
Danny.
Akbal.
And we started with Naz. Whoops! And whoa! Too much booze. I'm ready destroying all my principles. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. You're off. Give us a final thought before you go, because actually we're at a kind of crossovers, and we need some sort of input of wisdom. Can you give it, John?
Well, I really enjoyed this event, and it's been fantastic. A fantastic night. Thank you very much.
And what are you going away thinking now?
It's been a fantastic night.
Okay. Anything in particular?
What am I thinking? Oh, it's a long journey home. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. We don't have to go just yet. We're still carrying this on. Safe journey. So where do we want to go with this? Do we want to talk about opportunities missed? Do you want to talk about how you view your life? As Daphne said, do you want to talk about, I don't know, what's going on social media? Do you want to talk about something completely different? Where do we want to go with this? What's that?
What do you want to talk about?
I want, just leave it in there, Liz. Or just buy the telly here, even. Yeah.
Has anybody been watching the Democratic presidential debates? No?
No, nobody.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
What do we need to know? What do we need to know?
What's going on?
No, it's just the interaction between the individuals, and I thought,
yeah,
the people that are in the lead at the moment, like your Kamala Harris and so on, and she, I think, got knocked back quite severely by Tulsi Gabbard last night.
Okay, was this a thing here?
I was going to talk about my university. They're filming the next Sherlock Holmes. Margaret Robbie something is filming there. So I said, if I dress up in, I said to the people that were doing the stage, if I just dress up in 1860 gear and then just nonchalantly walk on through, would I be able to be on camera? Yeah, go for it.
And maybe we could combine the two things, and maybe if you nonchalantly walked into the Democratic convention, you might get a nomination to be the person that that goes up against Donald Trump.
That's what Donald Trump did last time, wasn't it?
Isn't that what Donald Trump did? He just walked onto the stage.
Yeah.
So maybe it is possible.
And then he sexually harassed women. And then he grabbed, what was it he quoted in video? That he just grabbed them. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, where do we want to go with this conversation?
Let's change it. Let's change it, please.
But Daphne, have you got anything? Have you got anything anywhere to go with it? Do you want to talk about this? I mean, in a way, this idea of walking onto the stage sort of fits with this idea we were talking about earlier of, like, believing it and then doing it, and kind of like, doing what you believe in, or kind of somehow just being in the position you want to be in. I don't know.
A lot of people are now talking about, like, the law of attraction. What do we think of that?
Can you explain it a little bit?
Gorgeous thing you'll ever see tonight. So.
Are you attracting?
Well, yeah, I am attracting nothing.
Okay. Okay. What's the law of attraction? Tell us a little bit about this. What is this law? Yeah.
The law of attraction. What?
Okay, we're
talking specifically. It's pretty much just about being positive and seeing things before they happen. So, for example, if you're always worried about your bill, then yes, all you're going to get through the post is bills. Instead, it's about changing your mindset and thinking, do you know what? Today I'm going to have a really good day. Good things are going to happen to me. Maybe I'm going to bump into the love of my life. And you can't for a second think, oh no, I'm going to die alone, and blah 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 blah. Life's just going to happen to me. No, you always need to just be a little bit positive and hope for the best in all situations.
Okay, so it's about power of positive thinking. Yeah. What are we
I think it's sometimes quite useful to be a little bit pessimistic.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know, like, I'm in a relationship at the moment. I'm thinking, like, great. It's that's the one. But, like, I'm quite young. It could all go Pete-tong. But I just have to, like.
But where's the pessimism?
But, like, any relationship you get into has, like, the possibility to end until you die. So
Yeah. Right.
Specifically, how young?
Well, like now, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm 25.
Oh,
Okay. Okay, I mean, we're talking about relationships. Should you go into a relationship thinking already about how it finishes? That's basically.
No, you shouldn't. Never.
No.
I mean, no disrespect. Most relationships nowadays are something else. If you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean?
It's not even a relationship. Okay.
I mean, wait. I've got something to say, right? Check this. People are like, are we dating? Is this exclusive relationship? Are we just seeing each other? Are you the one? Like, no one's really having that conversation. Are we just friends with benefit? Most of the time, you don't even know where you stand with these people.
So it's completely ambiguous.
I know.
Okay.
You're like trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay, come have a seat. Are you in an ambiguous relationship? Yeah, that's what we're talking about at the moment. Are these yeah.
Everyone's just confused,
Yeah.
you know, and it's sad to ask, are we in a relationship? Because you can't even ask that, because
it's
you'd
got to
seem
the
as the
point.
needy one, right?
It's got to the point to say you can't even ask, are we in a relationship?
Why do we have to ask, are we in a relationship? Can we just
What is the point
be
of asking?
patient? Exactly. Can we
Yeah.
just be patient and take your time and find out where you're at it? I mean, and also
So you don't
what
ask,
is
are we in
what
a-
is a relationship? Also, I
Okay.
mean, what's your definition of a
I'm going to
relationship?
sit now, so let me just come because I've got a new face. What's your name?
Matthew.
Matthew, what
Yeah.
are you going to say?
No, I was just saying, in the whole sort of context of relationships, you should learn before any kind of embarking on relationships to love yourself first. And I think once you can love yourself first, and if you have a relationship, well, all well and good. But
You don't necessarily ask. Are you agreeing with Bina that you sort of don't have to ask if you're in a relationship because you love yourself?
Yeah, and as I say, and I always think it's a bit presumptuous when people ask whether you're in relationships or not, and especially as you know they tend to define you. They tend to define you by whether you are in a relationship or not. Which I
Okay,
think is
I'm just going to come to Bina and Daphne, but Naz, you had your and
Now I've forgotten the point.
So, I still don't quite understand. I mean, law of attraction. Why is it called law of attraction if it's just about positive thinking?
I mean, we moved on from that now, right? We're talking about relationships.
Because it's clearly is it related to relationships? Is that why you call it?
Yeah.
And it relates to everything in life. It relates to who you are right now, where you want to be in 5 or 10 years' time. It relates to the things you think you deserve in life, but at the moment you might not have. It's just a mindset thing about, hoping for the best in all situations and just staying focused on that and just not letting negativity or people's or naysayers get in your way of just having that fixed mindset.
Even if you're in a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a point over here, Bina. What are you going to say?
I just wanted to say that when I'm saying don't ask, are we in a relationship? I'm not saying don't ask things. I mean, you have to ask the person that you're seeing, what do you want, what do you like, and to find out if you like the same things and if you're on the same terms, let's say. But you don't necessarily have to give it this name relationship. It can be,
What's wrong with
anything.
giving it the name relationship? What's the problem with calling it a relationship?
Well, I think we all have different kinds of relationships. It doesn't, friendship is a relationship also.
Okay, so it puts it too much into a kind of framework, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah. What?
You got to test the pedals.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Was there a point over here, Loretta? No.
But then if you love yourself, you want to respect yourself. And I'm sorry, no one's dragging my name or my reputation through the mud by making me think just because we're now going on a few dates, you can date everyone else and you think I'm okay with that? No. Certainly not. I'm not having it. We're going to sit down, and if we must have that talk, we would have that talk. And if you tell me you're not feeling me or you think there's something better out there, I'm going to clap for you, show you the door and tell you bye, boy.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
That's all I got to say.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So I mean, is this kind of ambiguity actually kind of like a kind of shadowy way? Shadowy polygamy, exactly. Yeah.
Wish it was.
I'm neutral. I'm in the middle here. I've got nothing to say about this. Were you going to say something, Evie?
I don't know. I think dating in London is harder.
Yeah.
My sister's dating at the moment in London, having been in a long-term relationship, and I think people and I know a lot of my friends, and people are flaky, people drop out, people are seeing each other a lot, and I don't know how to solve it. Maybe we should all just move to villages and just deal with like
the city that makes everyone so flaky.
Is it choice? I don't know. Maybe there are more good-looking people around. You're suddenly not like the best option. I don't know.
Okay, so there's too many good-looking people about.
I'm good.
Okay. Matthew.
Yeah, the whole onset, and it's like it's become the norm now of this dating kind of culture, which has been imported from America, I think. Lots of things, but it's just I just see it as just it's almost become like a lot of things that come from our cousins across the sea. It's like a transactional type of concept, and it's like you're basically having to sell yourself, and you're expending so much energy writing profiles, getting them checked, getting the photographs. I don't put that much effort into a bloody professional type of CV and all the rest of it, and I just feel it's just become really transactional. What happened to just like meeting people down the disco like you used to do?
I mean, does that happen anymore?
Yeah, that's the problem.
Does that happen anymore? I mean, Beata?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't happen.
All my boyfriends and my husband I met online, but not on dating platforms, but through websites, blogs, and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to meet them on a dating site. You can meet them on other social media or at Talkaoke. Yes, that's a possibility. It has happened. We've had marriages from Talkaoke. And some, children born, all sorts. You can.
Wow.
Not me personally, but there are children of Talkaoke. Was there a point over here?
Yeah, I think Amdram's a great way of meeting people, especially I keep telling my single amateur dramatics. All my single male friends are finding it hard to date people. I'm like, join a really bad drama society, put on a play, do it for 6 weeks, and they get drunk. You'll be like, especially for the men, in a heterosexual relationship, there's always more women than men.
And those dramatic women are, they're
those dramatic women. No, or sports or volunteering. I think those are better ways of meeting people.
Okay, so maybe is online the best? Are we just taking up too much time and being too transactional going online when we could do it in real life in formats such as Talkaoke or amateur dramatics? Where do people? What's the old-fashioned way?
Well, men do the picking, women do the choosing. That's my saying.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it.
Okay, we're talking about dating. Any views on dating? Robert? Robert? Yeah.
No, I think it has to be natural. That's the way I take it.
What do you mean by natural, though?
If it's going to happen, it will happen.
Okay.
As simple as this. If you try to force things, I don't think it's the right thing to do anyway, because it will backfire.
So you're saying in a face-to-face situation is better rather than online, or are you talking about online?
I don't know. For personal experiences, yeah. Online for me, maybe I'm an older guy, so then it's really weird in a sense.
Right.
We're pretty old-fashioned, and then dating is something maybe different. But it has to be.
Yeah.
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Otherwise.
Okay, we're talking about the state of dating. Was that a point there, Naz? No, you're just raising your hand in the air.
We were just talking about the air ambulance that went down around. I don't have any idea of what was going on. All I saw was a crowd. And there was an air ambulance that came down, and I'm not sure what's happened to the person.
Yeah.
Before in those flats, before they were done up.
Someone got hurt. I know someone got hurt.
Okay, so someone's got hurt.
Say a prayer for them. Should we say a prayer in union?
Where is?
We've never done it before, but we could do it.
Let's hope it wasn't another street knife incident. You know, let's pray that it's not that, because talking about things about in the olden days, I'm sure there wasn't this level of violent crime and using knives when I was growing up. Well, I know it's very easy to say, oh, I remember when it was all peaceful and but I'm sure there wasn't this level and this kind of willful postcode kind of carnage which is happening.
Maybe we could combine these two subjects, because both has been blamed on America. Is it the influence of America, the dating, but also the violence?
Can I just say something? I had an idyllic childhood living in Africa and Canada in the wilderness. My dad suddenly decided we were going to move back to England in 1970, and we moved to a place called Darlington in County Durham.
Oh, yeah.
And I was constantly beaten up by skinheads in the 70s.
So were you saying it was violent back then?
I'm saying that, actually we've got this conception of like knife crime now, but actually in the 70s it was far worse. It was far worse.
Okay.
Tim, I'm not sure that that's right.
Okay, well let's spread this out. What do other people think? Have we got more violent? Are we just more aware of the violence?
Actually, I wouldn't go over South London as an East Londoner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or North. No, I wouldn't go South London.
Now or back in the day?
Now I wouldn't. And it's a different smell over there. Totally
Okay.
different.
But not because you feel, because there's like tension.
Just because of Bermondsey, that sort of south, I wouldn't touch that.
Even when I go there, I feel like I'm in different territory.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, has violence? What do other people think? Has violence gone down? Has it gone up? Has it got more lethal?
It's gone up, it's more lethal. But like you said, in the 70s, you're saying you were getting beaten up. Beaten up, meaning punched, yeah? Now you're getting knifed. It's a big difference. I'm not saying that it's more violence, but the violence is on a different level.
True.
So that's the issue we have in London. If you want to come and punch me, please come and punch me. But if you're going to stab me, that's a different story. What's the chances?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. Okay, we're talking about the sport. We kind of moved away from the. John? Thought
I might open my mouth for once in a long time.
Yeah.
If we're thinking about knife crime, which is an act of one person to do damage to another, I wonder if we might actually ask government to think what has happened to the use of words between people.
True.
Because at the moment, what I see is not the pattern. It's not the pattern of this so-called democratic discussion and dialogue that I grew up with and thought was really quite civilized when conducted properly. But now we are saying, as we heard from our present Prime Minister, we have three motives. One was, I think, was it exit European Union on the 31st, regardless? Second one is to make you all feel happy or something like that. And the third one was to defeat a particular person. And the campaign that has been conducted against that particular person has the same character to me as knife crime on an estate.
What
it is intended to destroy and not to put up an argument against. So if government would like to institute a policy of making or bringing back dialogue between people with different ideas and doing it in a civil way, maybe they would have the right kind of credibility for leading a campaign against knife crime.
So what you're saying is that the government, the politicians are not actually conducting business about ideas, they're making personal attacks on each other, and therefore it kind of legitimizes personal attacks on individuals.
Mikey, I would be snotty and say we should go back to the time of the French Revolution and just have a look at what was done there, because what was done there was to change the whole situation of society and then to proceed to destroy the people who didn't actually want to carry that one forward to its conclusion.
Okay. All right. I'm going to come to you in a second.
I can't agree with that. That the politicians are, the buck stops with them for being the catalysts or the enablers of this, sea change in the level of violence. And if you look at the French Revolution as any kind of example of when a government basically has gone mental, you look at your Robespierres and your Dantons, and it was basically chop your head off and ask questions later. It was it was an absolute
So you don't
carnage.
put the blame on the politicians?
No, I don't put the blame on the politicians for the actual level of the increase in violence. No.
Okay.
I'm going to excuse myself.
Give us a final thought before you go. Thanks for contributing so much tonight.
Life is what you make of it. Make something of your life, darling.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks for getting involved. Danny?
See, I think the politicians should have Talkaoke. Because we've got people from all walks of life here with different views, and we ain't all taking each other's heads off, are we?
Yeah, well, I hope not. Otherwise, there'd be some. Yeah.
Just, I don't know if you've seen that video or that photo of the politicians in the House of Commons voting for their wage increase, and it was absolutely packed to the rafters. And then there was another shot of them debating knife crime, and there was about a dozen politicians in the actual house, and that just about sums it up, really. You know, absolutely rammed to the rafters when it was talking
so
about
you're not putting the blame on the politicians, but they're not actually discussing it either.
Yeah, well, they're not actually providing the any kind of context for it to be solved, are they?
Okay.
I'm going to defer very quickly to somebody who is obviously infinitely wiser than I am, but what I was not saying was that blame rests with politicians. What I was saying is we're not looking backwards to find blame. What we are doing, or we should be doing, is looking forward to find a solution. If we want to find a solution, then I'm asking those who would lead that solution to behave in a more credible way themselves, because that's a very good example to set.
Well, I think there's some agreement there between the two of you on that. Anything on this side? What do we think about violence, about our politicians? Are they providing the example? All right, we might be closing this up soon because we're coming to 10 o'clock, so give us a final thought. Because by the time you come back, we might be shut down.
Another drinking, that's what I'm going to get.
Okay.
That's where I rest my
Okay. Oh, we've got some new guests. We are kind of closing this down. But we're sort of talking about, we were talking about relationships and how that's kind of like gone a bit diffuse. But then because there was
and then nobody wanted to talk about the relationships. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and then we got sidetracked to the question of knife crime.
Yeah, because of the
but it's kind of up to you where you want to take this conversation. We're only probably going to do it for another 5 or 10 minutes.
No, because of the helicopter, which was basically obviously something that was happening right now.
Yeah.
That obviously skewed the debate, and that's what got us onto knife crime. Whereas we were talking about dating in a modern.
But we were sort of you were talking, Matthew, about the sort of Americanization, the transactionalization of a dating culture, which actually also does tie into the question of knife crime, in that it's about this kind of, are we following America into some kind of, are we culturally?
Well, America basically. There was the famous epigram of like America catches a cold and America sneezes and we catch a cold 6 months later, and we do follow a lot of what American society and their politics and and that's why we've always had that kind of quite unfortunate nickname of being America's poodle, but that's not something recent. That's gone down for generations.
I mean, is it politically or is it socially as well? Or is it do we feel like closer to America?
Mikey, we have Tim now. So
okay. He's been here already, I believe. Yeah. So we've got Tim. Who do you want to beat now? Eduardo, Evie, and we've got Beata, and we've got Akbal, and we've got Naz and John and Loretta and Matthew and Dave.
I completely disagree with that, because I think the UK is still the most dominant colonial force in the world, as it always has been, ever. Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean by that, Dave?
Because we've transmuted a violent colonial conquest into a monetary conquest.
Okay, so it's gone from guns to money, but I guess the dominance is still there. You're saying? Yeah.
Where did you get your shirt from?
Australia comes from Australia.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not convinced because there are so many very, very much bigger global players in terms of the economy. India is a larger economy than the UK, China obviously, Japan, and the US. I think the influence of Britain is diminishing, and it will continue to diminish over the next 5-10 years.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Brexit is the nail in the coffin for that, which might well be sometimes I think it might just be a passive history. Otherwise, you're like, well, you probably deserve that. No, you're not probably. You do deserve that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just
Brexit is our kind of just dessert, as a sort of or as our kind of final sort of.
Yeah, I think a lot of
our exit from the world stage, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so. I think we did a lot of terrible things. People are sort of waking up to that, and now other powers are rising, and then we'll maybe just fade into insignificance.
Yeah.
I don't agree with Dave. I don't think that Britain is still a world power or force, or had the influence now that she had when she was a colonial power, and I think that has and it's diminished to a greater extent. But what I think is a real problem, though, is that there is still this kind of navel gazing, and basically British people blaming themselves for that colonial past.
So we're kind of looking backwards.
Yeah, which basically at some point we've got to say, look, it's gone now. That was generations before me, and I'm not directly or responsible, and we've got to basically just think, well, look, at some point we've got to sort of shake off that kind of that blame.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, you disagree, Dave?
It's rubbish, because the thing is, what is so important here to understand is that there's one piece of this country that exists, which is the city of London. It's a 1 kilometre square entity which is above the laws of any constitution that we've been written over the history of our country. It is beyond the law, it is beyond everything, and all the money in the world flows into that place.
So you're saying the power still resides in the city?
And it honestly is like, we know exactly what we're doing, because we've had 400 years of perfecting that craft.
Okay.
No, I disagree.
Okay, all right. I'm going to come to, and let me just come to Robert.
Totally disagree.
Why?
No. Why is it that square kilometre, like you're saying, is above the law? No one is above the law.
Okay.
No
all right. We're going to resolve that in a minute. Let's just come to.
I just disagree about. I don't think recognising the damage that colonialism did, and the fact that we benefit so much from it, even now in terms of being set up as a power that has managed to be able to exploit countries in terms of under like the veil of capitalism, but we're just putting labour to the cheapest area. I don't think it's self-flagellation. I think it's recognising. I think it's important to recognise that we still benefit so much from that history.
Okay, so we're still privileged.
I don't think that's beating yourself. It's recognising it to be able to change, and to be able to recognise that we can't just say that we're all blameless.
Hang on. Let me just sum this up. So the question is, and you're very welcome to come and join in this one. Are we as a country, are we still benefiting from colonialism? Are we still kind of ashamed of it? Are we still... are we looking backwards as a country? Are we smaller than we think we are as a country? These are some of the questions.
I think there's definitely a colonial element to how business is transacted. However, the controlling influences aren't British.
But so what is this colonial influence? How does it work?
So if we talk about the British Empire, the greater financial powers within that empire are not Britain. India is taking over significantly in terms of banking. Banking in India is growing. Banking in Nigeria is growing. The Canadian banks control an awful lot of money, and so there's. I think
the centre in London is not as important.
The centre in London will at some point that mantle will pass to another centre.
Okay.
And it may not be a physical centre. It might be
distributed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Matthew.
No, it's sorry, I don't know your name.
Akbal.
Akbal's got a really, really salient point there. I mean, obviously, countries like India and China are really the new colonial powers, economically and really culturally as well now, because I suppose we invented the MO for colonial exploitation of great swathes of the world. Probably about a fifth of the world was pink. Red, I can't remember, pink, when I was taught at school. But basically, now those new modern colonial entities are doing it through their, gigantic economies. But what they're doing is going into countries that we gave their independence to, like in Africa, and basically colonially exploiting them now in a new modern way. They are. Like places like all of the roads, for instance, in Uganda and in Kenya have all been built by Chinese money. China is basically increasing their world status by putting money into Africa and Asia.
So where do we want to go with this? Do we want to talk about China and how it expands? Do we want to talk about where we are as a country? This is in the UK, not everyone here is British. Where do we want to go with this conversation?
Do you really think that these countries have just and they're gigantic economies, and like Britain has just gone, okay, you can have your gigantic economies? No. Britain is at the heart of each and every gigantic economy that is going on in China, in India, in all of these things, because they are subliminally controlling it. They are subliminally controlling it. We've gone from a nation of violent conquest into a nation of subtle conquest, which is the financial way of doing it. And we're controlling all these nations. That is why the City of London, everything flows through the City of London. I'm telling you.
Okay.
That's like a small group of elite people. Would you say that was Britain?
Okay.
If that's what you believe.
So it's not Britain, it's just the city. All right. I mean, no. Let me just come to Eduardo.
Could we maybe talk about soft power? That's the influence of the language of English.
Soft power.
Yeah. I mean that through music, through literature. English has dominated the world for a long time, mainly through America. But is that coming to an end?
So you're saying that English language is actually the dominant force, not even the money, but the language?
It has been. If you think about it, what do you consider the end of the 19th century? I would say that was 1914, the First World War. The end of the 20th century was 2011 when that happened. What is the end of the 21st century?
What happened in 2011?
Oh, fuck, I got it wrong. 21. Yeah, exactly.
9/11. Okay. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So you need to talk about centuries in terms of when things happen rather than just the end of the century.
Okay. So we're talking about English as the dominant power. Or we're doing. By the way, if you want to come to Bielefeld on the 15th of September, we're going to be doing Talkaoke in German. See how that goes down. But that's going to be Bina and Beata. But anyway, Yeah.
I have a pressing matter.
Yeah.
What's everyone's opinion on this Storm Area 51 business?
Okay, well, what can you explain it? Because I don't think.
Right, apparently on the 20th of September, everyone's going to storm Area 51. I think it's fucking hilarious, but it's made my whole week, my year, to be honest, my 2019, because then they come out with a week later, shall we storm the Bermuda Triangle? Because the theory was it can't swallow all of us.
Right. Okay. So I mean, this is a new meme of storming things, which could be interesting. See what else gets stormed. Yeah.
Is this one of these theories? These conspiracy theories about Area 51? Oh God! It's got. Conspiracy theories is God's way of saying you've got far too much time on your hands. It really is.
Speaking of, we're kind of running out of time now, so I think it is time to get the final thought. It's time to get the final thoughts, unless anyone else wants to have a go in the middle. Evie, fancy it?
Have we got time?
What? I mean, no. Okay. Okay, we're gonna do. We're gonna do the final thoughts, but maybe next time. But let's get some final thoughts.
Just a quick one. That's a total psyop.
What do you mean by psyop?
If anything's going on in Area 51, it was moved from there a long time ago. So, all these people are going to storm Area 51. That's just total shite.
This cause,
yeah.
Together without fighting or arguing, they just really want to just go out there and they make friends,
Okay.
And there's like
it's a positive side
near enough 2 million apparently. It's got to.
Okay, it's a Facebook group. They're not no. Okay, all right. Well, let's go around. Let's get some final thoughts. So we've got Dave's final thoughts. Come and give your final thought or initial thought. It could be on anything. Thanks very much for the box. Final thought.
Peace.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Final thought.
People should talk more to each other.
Okay. Any particular people or just people in general?
In general, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just witnessing my final thought.
Okay.
We're all doomed.
My favourite meme from the Flat Earth Society is a post from the Flat Earth Society Facebook group which says, "The Flat Earth Society has believers all around the globe."
Yeah, it was a fantastic evening. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming in the middle of the table, doing such a good job. Akbal, final thought?
I think everybody should watch Idiocracy.
Okay, well, we heard about that. I'll definitely try and check it out.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah, okay. Final thought?
Just everyone be nice to each other.
Where would you...
in the words of Bill and Ted, party on.
Where would you rather they stormed rather than Area 51?
Parliament.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was framing that one up maybe a little bit. Final thought, John?
When is the next Talkaoke?
Oh, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, no, I can't remember. We might be doing one on the 17th over at Custom House, which is here. Most likely, it would be if we can, the first Thursday of September, which I believe is the 4th of September. Yeah.
My final thought is that this is the most fun I've had with my clothes on for ages. So please, could you let us know when the next one is? Yeah.
We'll be. I think 4th of September is nearly. Yeah. Final thought.
For the rest.
I was going to say I have a proposal to make. Boris Johnson, I promised if he came into power that I'd meet him again. I told you what I would do. I'd go to Billingsgate Market, get monkfish, slap him with the wet fish and say, "Do you remember me?" Because he tried it on me when he was married and dirty old man before he was a mayor.
Okay. No, I think that's probably I think we've heard enough. We can imagine. But any final thoughts? Have you ever been slapped with a fish? That's what we're talking about at the moment. And are you?
With a wet kipper.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think final thoughts.
We should set up London's first tool library and clothes library so people can borrow things for free.
Well, there is actually one in Crystal Palace, but that's south of the river, and we've already heard that what a violent place that is. But the first north of the river tool library, definitely we should do it. Maybe we could do it at the Tommy Flowers. I've got plenty of tools we could throw into that, so that is an idea.
And Mike, just one final thing. Obviously, we all ought to nod our heads in appreciation of this pub and who it was named after. Tommy Flowers. A GPO engineer who basically who created with Alan Turing the bomb, which was the prototype computer which helped break the German codes and win the war, and he basically put up his own money to get that prototype off the ground. What an absolute inspirational icon that Tommy Flowers was.
Well said.
Okay, and we will be back at Tommy Flowers pub.
Well said.
I'm not sure if everyone's aware of the history of Tommy Flowers. It's something we can talk about after when we're backing up. We will. It looks like we'll be back on the 4th of September, if that's the first Thursday. And do come along. And if you want to have a go in the middle, please do. You're very, very welcome. And it's time to go and get yourself another drink and carry on the conversation amongst yourselves, please.